What's good? Chase Skin or just Chase. I don't really care what you call me. Thought I'd make a little video about what I personally think is really wrong with gaming, considering I've been playing games ever since. The first game I ever played, I was 4 years old. It was Tekken 4, and I played San Andreas. So whatever. A lot of us gamers probably been playing for just as long. Born with a controller in our hand. We're about 20s, 30s now, and times have changed. So let's just get into it. Um, the first thing I think is wrong with gaming is like I think that and it's nothing to do with about it being less masculine or something. Like yes, that's one of the problems, and I may get into that. But I think a lot of gaming has lost its substance over the years. For example, if you look at the PS2 era, if you hear the Silent Hill in the background, you're gonna tell me that type of game don't have substance. Resident Evil, right? Uh, God of War, right? The old one. The new one is very nice, but they've made it. Everything is like so 3D now. Like you gotta have the super cinematic. Last of Us. It gotta be a third person. Camera right behind the back, or else people aren't really happy, right? Or either it has to be a 3D. Action RPG. Like it has to be a boss simulator, like Black Myth Wukong. Everything has to be a Souls game for people to like stuff anymore. We've evolved as a bunch of people in the same hobby. It's hard, even me personally, a lover of games. It's hard for me to sit down and like actually just consume a game that doesn't have something like a live service in it. Example, I recently been playing Diablo 4, and I'm really liking it. I'm enjoying my time with it. But I think back to times where I would just play something like Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm like, that's an amazing experience. You just pick up the game, you just play it. But like you look at the games that keep these concurrent players, and you look at live service, and it makes so much money. Of course, that the companies are gonna start doing that. Of course, they're gonna spam that. All we can do is vote with our wallets, like we did with Concord. But how many times we're gonna do that? Because we don't get any new IPs now either. We got Concord, it flopped. Nobody ever wanted it. We get Star Wars Outlaws. Well, I don't think that actually did poorly. Uh, but like it wasn't well received in the media eye. On top of that, Ubisoft isn't. They're flopping. We're losing gaming studios. That's a scary thing, and we don't even own games now. They don't. They're pushing the digital media. There's so many things that they're changing about our hobby that if we just voted with our wallets would change. But I don't know. I guess we don't have integrity. I mentioned that it wasn't just the masculinity thing, but that is a part of it. Space Marine 240K just came out. Some girl in there's chin is super chiseled. I'm sure that's because she's a super soldier, but even the fans of that thought it was weird. So she don't look right. A lot of successful games have pretty women in them, and it's funny when people say men hate women in video games because that's not true. Tomb Raider exists, Bayonetta exists. People love Chun Li, Jury. I can think of a bunch of women. I think her name is Claire Redfield. You got Ada Wong. People love them. They keep coming back. They didn't be making remakes. I mean, how could you say that men just hate women in video games? It doesn't make sense. We've been having games with women. Like one of my favorite games is Silent Hill 3. That's just me though, but Silent Hill 3 is like one of the fan favorites in general, and that's a female main character. So it's not that we definitely don't hate women in video games, but we just don't like it when you make them ugly for no reason. You can just make them look normal. Like when you go out of your way to make them ugly, it feels weird. You know, it feels like DEI. It feels like there's something shady going on in the background. PC stands for politically correct. We don't want your politically correct viewpoints in our games. We do want your message, but we want whatever the game is about message. The game isn't about the girl being attractive or unattractive, unless it is. Then make it that way. If the game's not about that look, then there's no reason for you to make them unattractive. It just puts a bad taste in our mouth. How are we supposed to become interested in your game if you can't hook us with just eyeballs? The big companies focus too much on graphics and microtransactions, and unfortunately, microtransactions make a lot of money. So, whenever you have microtransactions in a game, that means the game is going to be designed around the fact that there's microtransactions. Let me explain. Say you need to collect 100 or something, but you can spend $2 and get it instantly. But it would take you like 15 minutes to get the 100. But you get the 100, you can get the 100 in 15 minutes, but you need 1,000 of them. Well, why don't you spend $10 and get it instantly and subvert all of that? Yeah, that's how they get you. If there was no microtransactions, it wouldn't be that annoying. I promise you. They wouldn't make it that way. But they put microtransactions in the game because we pay for it. So again, it's a vote with our wallet type deal. But what happens when we keep voting with our wallet and all these companies go broke after a while? Bad things should definitely fail, but what is it gonna be? Just FromSoft, FromSoft, Rockstar. I can't think of a bunch of companies off the top right now. Insomniac, right? I mean, look, Rocksteady. Now I know Suicide Squad was just something they didn't exactly want to make, but they did make it and they dropped it, and it definitely didn't. It lost $200 million. Why even make them drop that? Just make what you want to make, but it's not up to everybody at Rocksteady. I mean, they saw the success of live service games, and they wanted to, bite off of that, CEOs or investors. But we are growing, we're healing as a community. We don't like the live service anymore. This is Chase and Post. We do like live service, we just don't like it when it's bad. Suicide Squad is a bad game. Nowadays, uh, nowadays games are very safe. You don't have anything risky like back in, no one's dropping games like Sunset Overdrive and Infamous anymore. Bro, did y'all watch the Gamescom and did y'all watch the summer game show and Steam one and all that? All the little game shows this year, it was straight cozy games. Who's playing that? Majority of gamers, well, it used to be the majority were just guys, but I mean, there's a lot of girls that game now, but I don't think the girls are watching the Game Awards. It just is what it is. So how are you gonna hook me with your Game Awards if it's just cozy games? In conclusion, I think that part of the reason gaming is in a weird spot right now is because of, yes, DEI and because of the lack of masculinity in gaming. But really, I think it's just us voting with our wallet and them reacting. We keep buying the slop and they keep making it.